Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews. Today we are discussing 28 years later, The Bone Temple. The Bone Temple picks up pretty much exactly where 28 years later left off, with Spike now becoming a member of the Jimmy Gang by force as they wreak havoc on an apocalyptic world. I gotta be honest with you guys, I wasn't exactly jumping out of my seat with joy to go and check this one out. I did it for the love of the game and for the love of my viewers. You're very welcome. But a lot of that lack of excitement comes from the fact that I thought the last movie was a huge letdown. Trailers looked incredible, the hype was all there, and the end product was just this confused, sloggy, overwritten mess where it just couldn't decide what story it wanted to tell. So instead they just tell a bit of 4 different stories that have no cohesive tissue at all, and ultimately leave you feeling very underwhelmed and even a little bit confused by the end. And that's 28 years later. But I can pleasantly say that 28 years later, The Bone Temple felt far more focused. It felt far more narratively in tune with what it wanted to do. You could tell there was a game plan, a story idea, and the film starts with it and sees it through to the end. That was missing so desperately from the last outing. It might be a little bit simpler, it might even go into directions that you did not see coming or expect from a zombie franchise, but actually I think that all worked in this movie's favour. I am extremely tired of zombie movies that don't actually care about the zombies and just focus in on the humans, and that is still a huge complaint here, but I felt like they managed to take the narrative down some interesting ideas and give it a good swing, sometimes missing, didn't always work, but they at least had the balls to try and give you something different from what is actually a very tired formula at this point. And ultimately I think it works, just about. You do have to turn off your brain at times and just go with it. If you start thinking about the logistics, a lot of it does fall down, but some of the ideas on display here, a lot about mental health in an apocalyptic world, was strangely refreshing, which added a lot of depth to these characters and made them far more interesting and compelling to me. The 2 real standouts here is Ralph Fiennes' Dr. Ian Kelson and Jack O'Connell's Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal. As you uncover more about these characters, and even with their interactions together, which personally I think are the best scenes in the film, you can't help but be captivated by them. You might not agree with everything that these characters do, but at least you can understand why they do them for the characters that they are. I shouldn't be praising that so highly, because that is just basic character development, but it shows how shit writing has got in films that was so refreshing that these characters actually had a personality and behaviours I could relate to and understand. My god, groundbreaking stuff apparently. It's much narratively tighter. I think they get back to their horror roots as well here. It does feel a lot darker, nastier, more miserable at times, which is everything you could want from a horror movie like this. I have to give credit to the filmmakers and the writers. They listened to the complaints and they really fine-tuned this, which does also bring about some negatives, because if you're expecting more of a follow-on from the story of the first outing 28 years later, you are going to be sorely disappointed. And as much as I praised Jack O'Connell and Ralph Fiennes, the rest of the cast are pretty dreadful, to be honest. The actors playing the Jimmy Gang are pretty damn weak. Is a real divide between can act and can't act, and it's fully on display in this film. In total, in this movie, there are probably 10 zombies. There's one that is mostly focused on the big guy from the last movie, but their presence just isn't noticeable anymore. They feel like such an afterthought. There's no real scary, intense moments with them. It all feels quite calm and settled and rural at times, which it really shouldn't. Considering how this franchise has gone, like, I've seen the other films, there's no way there should just be 10 zombies around and we can just go around doing whatever we want. Makes you question how the army were ever overpowered in the first place. And I don't think the film really stands out that much in the whole direction and cinematography department either. And it's not that Nia DaCosta is a bad director or that she's done a bad job here either. It's just that she really doesn't stand out from the crowd at all. In fact, I think the film relies far too much on music to do the heavy lifting. But ultimately, I am more positive about this movie than I ever thought I would be. It's a hell of a lot better than the last one. I do think you will have a good time with this in the cinema, and I do think it's worth checking out. And I'm going to give 28 years later, The Bone Temple, a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comments as well. Have you seen 28 years later, The Bone Temple? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you haven't had enough of this crazy ginger, you can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in an IMO wormhole. But if not, take care. I look forward to seeing you on the next review.